Well, Matt, you want to start us off talking?
Uh, sure, yeah. Recently, a friend of the show and our friend, Rebecca Heineman, known as Becky, passed. I think you had mentioned in the last episode, Matt, she wasn't doing so well and had the GoFundMe and all that. And
You just gotten transferred to ICU, and that was going to cost
mhm.
like $20,000. So I was going to, they wanted some. I think the GoFundMe, whoever was running that, was collecting just for that transfer. So I just got done basically putting that into the episode and like asking people to donate. And then I
Yeah,
think as soon as the episode was uploaded, I got the news. So it's just been
it was
Right.
fast.
rough.
It was fast. It was fast with her wife as well, like a year or so ago. And I just thought it'd be, nice to sort of share stories about her and all of that. And it's been really great to see the outpouring from different developers and so forth
Oh,
that she's worked with online, where John Carmack posted a nice thing on Twitter. You, just about everyone you can imagine. She's worked with so many. John St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem, was talking about knowing
yeah, it seems like
Becky.
every time I'm on Facebook now, there's a bunch of stuff. Saw something
Yeah.
from Fargo, Chris Avalon.
Oh,
Be
Fargo, sure.
Uh,
Becky worked with a lot of people. She did a lot of work. Um, but she also got a lot more social in her later years,
Hmm.
which meant that she had a lot harder time keeping schedules.
Right. I guess we can start by just going around talking about how we all met Becky in the first place. Um, do you want to start, Sue?
Sure. I met Becky back in 2012, and I think it was actually even earlier in 2012. It might have been actually, I originally thought that it was April, but I think it might have been actually February. Um, uh, RJ Berg, um, or excuse me, RJ Michael was having a party, and RJ is, he's the creator of the Amiga software and the Lynx game machine, and a whole bunch of other stuff. RJ's been involved in all sorts of things, and we had been talking in Facebook and been Facebook friends for a while, and he had invited me to this party, but he was flirting with me, and I was a little uncomfortable. And so I asked Maureen Starkey, whom I've known for many, many years, if she wanted to come along with me. Plus, it was an industry party, and I figured we could do some networking there. And Maureen and I went over to this party and started cruising around and meeting people. And we separated when we first went in the door just to see who was there. And RJ has a big house, it was huge. And most of the people that were there were from Sony, and they were the young tech types. A lot of people working in QA, a lot of people that were working in art and engineering production stuff, but not a lot of producers, not a lot of people from outside of Sony. And so it was a little bit boring. And I teased RJ too because there were not a lot of women there. And I said, "Where are all the girls?" And just shortly after that, Rebecca came in through the front door with one of her friends. She had a young gal along with her. And I walked up to Rebecca and greeted her really warmly. And I think she thought I was hitting on her because she immediately whipped out her phone and started showing me pictures of her girlfriend, Jennell. She says, "I have a girlfriend." Anyhow, we laughed about that. And I just said, "Oh, well, there's just very few women here at the party." Anyhow, I had no idea that Rebecca was trans. I don't generally sort people that way anyway, when on first impressions. And we sat down on the couch and started talking. And I had never met Rebecca before in the industry, even though I had worked all over the place by that point. My history, by the way, if for anybody that doesn't actually know who I am, I started way back in the computer game store days in 1981, 82. I opened a computer game store for some friends of mine and was at my first consumer electronics show out in Las Vegas when I was actually turning 21. I turned 21 actually in Vegas in 1982, and I started at SSI in I think 1987. I was one of the artists that worked on the Gold Box games, and I rose to be management there, and I was managing the schedules for all of the different games. And I think I worked on probably 10 different projects there at the time. And that includes Pool of Radiance, Secret of the Silver Blades, Champions of Krynn, the Buck Rogers games, all that stuff, and a whole bunch of other things too.
So you had mentioned Buck Rogers. Did you ever work with Flint Dill?
Yeah, I know Flint Dilly.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
I've met with
I've
him
heard.
multiple times, and he worked on the strike projects with my husband.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's him and my dad knew each other, and I had a lunch with him once in LA, and we've had him on the show before. He has a lot of wonderful experience, but with Buck Rogers, of course, his family had the rights to the IP for years. I think that case finally got settled. I'm not sure who has it now, but
Well, yeah, I think it's his grandfather created Buck Rogers.
right.
Um, and yeah, when we were bringing it live, that was a lot of fun. If you want to know a lot more about the Buck Rogers art and whatnot, you should interview Laura Shelley. She was one of the artists that was on that project too. But I did all of the little fighting men animations
Ah,
on
okay.
Buck Rogers, and actually I caught a lot of flack because I was the person that decided that they needed to have like the knee pads and the armbands and all that stuff, and I got a lot of flack from Tom Wall. He's like, they look like they're from Flashdance. And I was like, no, no, it's like minimal armor, and so that you can get down on the ground and be comfortable. And I said, besides, you don't want just them to just look like regular people, right? They need to, have something going on. Anyhow, yeah, I did all of the little miniature because I had been doing all of the 11 by 11 art for special scenes and all of the portrait art for years. And I wanted to do something different, so I did the little combat animations for that game, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice. Matt, how do you, or other Matt, it's just gets so confusing. Two of us are named Matt here.
Well,
Dr.
you wouldn't be
Bart, Dr.
unless you're referring to yourself and the
Right. In
third.
that case, I need to start checking my medication, I guess, if it's I talk in third person or something. But yeah, Matt,
One
yeah,
of you has a double T, right?
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I'll just
Yeah.
refer to you that way, right? T and double T.
double T.
That,
I'll be double
Eh,
T.
okay, double
Double
T works. So
T.
nice, nice. So double T. How do you know Becky? How did you meet her? Because I met her
Oh
first through
yeah,
your group chat thing you have with some game folks.
yeah. I was sitting here trying to remember. I was actually going back through my old emails to see, when we first started talking. I mean, the first it must have been in the GDC when we were filming that gameplay documentary.
Oh,
So we
with
were
Bill.
talking. If I remember correctly, and this has been many years ago, so I could be getting some, details wrong, but I seem to remember the John Romero. We'd interviewed him, and it was kind of in the evening, and he was like, somebody else you should interview.
Ah,
And we didn't know who Becky was back then, but that didn't quite materialize. But I remember that suggestion later. So when I started doing Matt Chat, I tried to get in touch with her, and somehow or another, I forget what YouTube, Facebook, Skype, whatever, one of those. But she was one of my first guests on the show, and that was back when I was just nobody from nowhere, absolutely tiny channel. We did like 4 or 5 videos, and they basically went viral.
Oh,
well, she
No,
had a
they,
lot of great stories to tell.
oh yeah. It just made
nice.
I don't think the show would have lasted very long without those because that was a huge spike, early on.
That's awesome. I mean, she's been on several times. I've been on this show as a producer the past few years with her a few times as we were playing through some of Battle Chess, some of Task Times and Tone Town. The other one was what, the Neuromancer, right? And she was sharing stories as we kind of played through some of those. As I mentioned, I met Becky through this kind of group chat of mutual friends we have. But also, Brandon Mullins, who published my first 5 books, had a company called Moon Books LLC. Through me, he joined that group chat thing and became friends with Becky, and then him and Becky worked together to publish some old games on GOG through his Moon Books company. One was Timothy Leary's Mind Mirror, and
Oh,
the other
cool.
and the other is a really notable big title in Germany, The Dark Heart of Ukruel.
Oh, that's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah, so that she and Brandon got to do that together. And then Brandon, oddly enough, passed suddenly one morning a few years ago. So Becky and I talked a lot about that, sharing, stories, memories, much like we're doing here. And a few years after that, now she's no longer with us, unfortunately. But I think, I recently got to I have a book I have on the Doom video games, DOM, the stuff, right? Coming
Right.
out, going into a lot of the ports. And I had a really nice long interview with Becky, and she was so generous with her time. And the book comes out next year, and it turns out I think it'll be one of the last print books with a new interview with her, which was never my intention, but it was nice that happened. I got to talk to John Romero for that book. It has a lot of stuff. I don't want to make this into a plug really, but it was nice. I got to have that conversation with her, and she going into all the details of all the different Wolfenstein 3D and Doom ports that she
Well,
worked
and
on.
Doom was such a phenomenon when it
Yes.
came out. I mean, it changed the business model, it changed, everything. Um, and it was so much fun.
So I
It,
figured Jennell been
it
playing
ruined it
golf.
ruined desktop computing inside many offices because the network was so clogged.
Well, so when Doom came out, Susan, do you prefer Sue or Susan?
Susan.
Okay, Susan. What game were you working on at the time? And was it one of those where you saw Doom, you realize, oh, this will change everything? Or was it just like another fun game people were playing?
I think Doom came out when I was at Electronic Arts. Um, gosh, and I would have been working on multiple things. I was the project manager there, and I think that was by the time that I was working underneath Monty Feinfrock. Um, and I would have been working on, gosh, um, I'm trying to think what all was going on at that particular moment, and there so many different games. Uh, Navy Fighters was probably underway. Um, we were probably finishing up, uh, oh gosh, it wasn't LHX, it was one of the other things that we ported over to the Sega Genesis, and I don't recall. I'd have to go look at my list of projects to refresh my memory. There were a bunch. I was always on probably 4 or 5 projects at a time, and they all, would run together. I'm sure that Road Rash 2 was probably underway, and probably Jungle Strike was underway. Um, yeah, actually, Jungle Strike for sure was underway.
That's
Um,
1992.
Right.
Uh,
And so when you first saw Doom, was it something that really blew you away, or had you played the first person shooter stuff much before, like Wolfenstein or
I had played Wolfenstein, and I also had played. There was a dungeon crawler game that had come out from uh, Westworld.
was it Lands of Lore?
it's
Uh,
probably Ultima Underworld.
was that the one that came from Westworld or whatever? I can't remember the name of the company. They're
Looking
from
Glass Studios, I think is what
Looking Glass. Okay. I
this is
had
what I'm
played
thinking of.
I had played something that wasn't near as fast or near as slick as
Uh-huh.
Well,
Doom.
Blue Sky Productions, not Looking Glass. Oh, well, oh, never mind. I guess it's the same. Is
And
it?
s- and And so I was like just blown away that they could make something move so fast, right? Because we had all been trying for a fast scrolling dungeon crawler type of game. And then the Wolfenstein came out, and Wolfenstein had a lot of issues because it was like a beta that had gotten released, right? Um, and uh, and then they totally cleaned it up and released Doom, and Doom was just so lightning fast and had no issues. It had no artifacting and had a multitude of weapons, and the it was a really fun game. And then, of course, just a little bit after that, Descent came out, and I was hooked. Descent was so much fun. That was a game that we all got sick playing.
There was a
It,
Descent Thunder Mountain after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Becky had done this 3DO
yes,
version, right? So she ported, I don't know, she did several ports, right? It wasn't just this one.
yes, yeah, several ports, but the 3DO one, I mean, the story has been told a lot before, but yeah, she didn't have a lot of time to do it, so it was the best she could make it, and the frame rate isn't great. Yet despite that, I think the one innovation for it, yeah, just 10 weeks. That's extraordinary. I mean, yeah, Becky was a super fast worker from everything I read, and really could pull the long hours sometimes needed. And uh, it was supposed to originally have FMV cutscenes, and I
Because it
when
was
I
the 3DO, it would make sense. Yeah.
And when I was at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, I just posted some videos about it. Oddly enough, they had on display a piece of like the demon mask from the FMV shoot that people could
Oh,
see
yeah, I remember I
at
saw
the
that.
convention. So, but with that 3DO version, what I like about it, and every port of Doom is a little different, a little special in its own way, is they used live music. They had one of the producers or something and his friends had a garage band, and they did the music on real electric guitars and stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and it still sound like the acoustics are pretty good. They're pretty good arrangements for the time they had. And it really makes you can still listen to it today. Like it's a cool sounding version of it, and it's taking advantage of the CD technology the 3DO had.
Did I see on that page that she did the Jaguar version?
I believe so. She did several versions, but she
I don't
mentioned
know if I've ever even seen the Jaguar version.
the Jaguar Wolfenstein 3D. Pull that one up. That one looks really nice. Like they redid the graphics. I think
Wait,
the map
Wolfenstein or Doom?
Wolfenstein. Um, the Jaguar was the basis of the Mac port and there's another one that has the graphics like that. But if you look, the graphics are much better and the frame rate's better than the original version. It's like VGA sort of graphics. They added new weapons like rocket launchers and flamethrowers. It
That's
has,
awesome.
yeah, it has a lot more levels. It took the levels from the Super Nintendo version. Um,
What's this? I can't. This website I'm on, I can't even tell. I think this is right. Jaguar. Is that the
yes, yep.
yeah, Jaguar port
So
of
you can see those graphics look better. I mean, by today's standards, they're not going to blow anyone away. But at the time, I mean, this is significantly better and less chunky and pixely than the original. It moves really smooth.
Well, and
Uh,
that's the thing. With moving really fast and decently, not as pixelated, and it was amazing for the time.
right. And weirdly, with Wolf 3D, when I go play it now, I have to take some Dramamine because it doesn't have the head bob, and it looks like you're just phasing through really quickly the space from a first person. I never had that problem as a kid.
You could get really, yes, visually sick. Um, y- right. Well, Descent does that to you too. You're ended up
Oh
like
yeah.
doing this because it really gets you.
yeah, that's why haven't really jumped on that whole virtual reality headset thing because I'm I'm pretty sure that would do wonders for my digestion. Put it that way.
I was at a game jam out here in Portland. We have a nonprofit called Pig Squad, short for Portland Independent Gaming Squad, and they do a lot of game jams, and some of them were doing VR games. And when testing it out, they have to be really careful with the speed at which your character turns when you move your head around because that can cause a lot of sickness.
Yeah, you can get whiplash too.
That, yes, right. All kinds of things, not to mention,
You can really hurt yourself.
yes, right. Yeah, if it's one where you're moving your whole body around with some of those accessories. Um,
Not to mention if there's anybody else that's right next to you, if you move too fast in physical space. We have a VR lounge here in town, and I've heard stories.
VR lounge.
Yeah, the VR lounge. People
is it
go and
like an
play
internet
games.
cafe?
Yeah, it's like an internet cafe, but they actually have
Okay.
like a VR space too for specifically for VR games.
Sounds like something that wouldn't be out of place in that Neuromancer game.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, we had a VR lounge out here in Portland, but it closed so quickly. We're not as big as a city as Seattle, so it doesn't can't support
We're very
something.
small here, but
Are you?
there
Okay, but it's still
well, yeah, it's a town of about 6,000 people and about
hmm,
20,000 people in the whole, or 27,000 people in the whole county. But because there's a lot of young people and there's not
okay,
very
right.
many things to do, the VR lounge is really popular. And of course, it's techie. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. As a kid, I really liked going to internet cafes because I had it like a Packard Bell 4666 for years and years, and so to play any of the new games, I had to go to the internet cafe or go to a friend's house
yeah.
because my double speed CD-ROM drive could only take me so far.
Well, we
Well, I think
actually
that the
have
merch kind of
really
funny.
good networking here. Our internet's awesome because I have fiber here and I'm downtown though. So
I think is the old school website no longer available?
I don't know. Is it down?
I
I
don't know.
didn't see.
I'm wondering if I got the link wrong or something. It's like OLDESKUUL.com.
Let me,
I get this. I know that there's been some problems with Cloudflare, but I just get like this.
It says invalid SSL certificate. Interesting.
nuts,
The X site still pops up fine.
right? But yeah, going right from the X site, you get the S. If both you got the SSL error, then that's something.
Oh yeah, I remember
I guess the estate or whomever has to
we were
correct
just
it.
talking about that Dark Heart game. So the old school has that.
Oh, they still have the rights to it. Okay, yeah, I know. I Becky and I emailed a few times about the Timothy Leary game, and she was wanting to extend the length of the time they had the license to, but the Leary estate was being challenging, let's say.
Yeah,
So
I'm not popping the website up. If you got a link that works, I'd love to have it. That's weird.
I don't know what's going on. I was gonna just got
it's
some
haunted.
fun stuff on it.
That's weird.
Well,
I have to go back to like the
there's
late
some
90s.
foo fun going on right now with the estate. I don't know if you guys are following the Facebook page
Yeah,
stuff.
I am, and um, it's too bad. I'm sure it'll be settled eventually, but
What's going on?
Uh,
eh,
Maureen Starkey, the
mhm.
other founder of Old School, lived with Rebecca and was caretaking her and the cats while Rebecca was going through chemo and whatnot. And Rebecca's heirs thought that they would just walk in and like take over all of the corporate assets. And um, Maureen challenged that, and that made them really upset with her. So they actually sent the police there and tried to evict her, which is illegal. And it's a mess. And, I don't know Texas law, and I'm not actually in the corporation anymore. So I actually had Rebecca remove me a few years ago because Becky was using my name to land contracts, and I was pretty pissed off about that because I wasn't working with the corporation anymore. So there's a lot of fun and games to go all the way around.
I finally found the site on the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Was
Okay,
that
so this
something?
was yeah, Astro Rock, Luxor Evolved.
Why don't you click on
The-
that games button?
Okay, so
So
okay,
let's.
it's gonna work. Yeah, this is I don't the Wayback Machine is kind of flaky sometimes, but
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
it usually
So
only shows
uh,
the landing page, but not necessarily any of the connecting pages. So it's kind of cool that some of the connecting stuff's coming up.
oh, here we go.
oh, is it a?
Mounts me out of my share for a
I
second, but
got excited. Okay,
yeah.
let's see.
There you go.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, this is great. Thank you. So, I mean, Luxor, that game's been on just about everything. I never played the evolved version for your,
Yeah, that
and
was a super popular game, right? As a casual kind of a thing.
yes, all the
I don't
phones,
know if I've ever.
the old school phones got ports of it. You mentioned Descent. This Battle Chess Game of Kings, that's not the original Battle Chess, is it? That's a different, it's like a remake.
No, it's an upgraded version that
Okay.
got done by Interplay, and we finished it and got it up on Steam. Um, and then, we finished it enough to get it up on a beta version on Steam, and then it needed some more bug fixing. And then Becky was working with Rusty, I believe, Bucher, to finish it completely. I don't know if they completed it. That's a question for Rusty.
See if I can get this game of kings, right?
Have you
Eh,
guys had Rusty on the show in the past?
Yeah, I've had him.
Okay.
I don't know how long ago would that have been, man. Were you with me back then?
I don't think I was with you quite back then. I've been on here about 3 years helping Matt out, get guests and
You
do
you guys
research.
should interview Rusty,
Yeah,
because
Yeah, I
Rusty and,
interviewed
and
him.
Becky worked together quite a bit, and he would
that'd
know
be
a
great.
lot about her recent stuff because he's tied to Interplay.
Yeah, there he is. I interviewed him back in well, just 3 years ago.
Yeah. Rusty is also doing his cancer battle.
Mm.
He's in ongoing chemo.
Yeah, that was a good interview. I don't you do enough of these, and it's just so hard to even remember like any of the details from these. But
There's a lot.
I
Well,
want to
these
say he talked about that a little bit in this interview.
he's got a career that's even longer than Becky's. And so lots and lots and lots of projects. When he talks, it's like worshiping. I mean, I count him as my mentor, you know. He's a really good friend, and I really like talking to him. Um, because he's helped me, frame things really well.
Hmm.
But he's worked on a lot of different stuff. But yeah, he and Becky were working on putting to bed some of the interplay things that still had open bugs and whatnot. I don't remember what all besides the battle chest, but I do know that they were working on battle chest together.
Is he also known as Jacob R?
I don't know.
Yeah, it
Does
looks like he's, yeah,
does
this
he
must
have
be.
aliases?
I wonder if Rusty's like the R and he just goes by the R.
Probably,
Looks
Yeah.
like it,
probably.
right? Oh, that's a lot of aliases. How about that? But they're all grouped together
Jacob
there.
R. Who should
So I actually I forgot about this, but I was looking in my records. I actually wrote for a game that was published by Old School Games called
really?
called Anagram Quest. It was a mobile title that was trivia, and the designer of it, who's is going to kill me. His name escapes me at the moment, but he's in one of my gaming groups I meet up with on this app called Clubhouse. Yes, that's it.
That's so cool.
So I'd work and do the trivia questions in a Google Sheets he programmed, and then he could upload it to the source code when he pushed a new update for it. So I did that for a few months as a side thing, and that was
I'm
it
gonna
was
do
a
a Matt Chat anagram of the week or something. That'd be fun.
right. It's with the anagram thing. It was I didn't have to come up with the anagrams myself, just the questions and answers, but you were limited by how many letters could be on the screen at a time, and it was a different theme every week. So sometimes, and if you look online, you can see nearly every day it's like, National Hot Dog Day or whatever it is. So
That's
sometimes
cool.
I'd use that as quiz themes. instead of old movies or something like I would
That's
do.
fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, and I've actually before that I for a year I hosted bar trivia for Geeks Who Drink at a bar out in Portland. So
That's really fun.
to do that for 2 hours a week live in front of drunk people, that really builds a thick skin. I don't think I need to try stand-up comedy after that.
Stand-up comedy. That could be
But
rough.
but does that pay? That's I got a
No, well, I
question
mean,
there.
that's I made frankly between $50 to $60 a week doing that. I also produced some video content for them. We'd have video rounds where I'd play a movie clip and then say, guess the movie. And you'd have to play the clips twice because people would be too drunk to watch it the first time. But that does,
Reminder, there's stuff on the screen.
right, right. But
Reminder.
but that those videos were seen by tens of thousands of people playing these quizzes across the country and their franchise. So
Oh, wow.
so that was a fun, but my main gig has been I've worked at software companies about 15 years, 5 years as a technical writer, 10 years doing QA. I've also done some work on games. A few years ago, I worked with Ken and Roberta Williams on the closed beta for their remake of Colossal Cave Adventure.
That's amazing.
And that was real fun to be a part of that. And we were able to get Ken and Roberta on Matt Chat for Valentine's Day
That's amazing.
to talk.
Yeah. That was a great chat too.
Wow. Congratulations, you guys. I have not sat down and watched that, but I need to.
Well, I'll need to
Yes,
circle back if we can, just to.
right, sure.
I wanted to hear more about what it was like at Old School. Like, what was the best time? What would say kind
Oh
of the
wow.
peak year, and then
Oof.
The peak year was definitely when we were working on New and Tasty, and we had two projects going at once. And then we all of a sudden, poof, the folks that we were working with, the producer, and I don't recall his name off the top of my head, had another gig that was going, and he spun us up to work on something else. And it was actually a VR gig. They wanted us to use the glove and to be able to manipulate stuff in 3D space. So I had to hire somebody that had experience in VR and could adapt. And the rest of my team was like, "No, no, no, don't do that. We'll just hire somebody else, and they can train." And I'm like, "That's not going to happen fast enough, guys." So they were chagrined because we were hiring this engineer that was way more expensive than they were used to. And I hired an ex-EA guy that was a friend of mine, and he turned out to be just stellar. And we did manage to actually make the technology work, and it actually was demonstratable. However, the person that was paying for it um, was not super happy with the end result because it wasn't as seamless as he had hoped it to be. It wasn't. Um, Although the glove works and you can manipulate 3D objects in 3 space, it wasn't simple and it didn't feel real at the time. And of course, this was, I don't know what, 8 years ago, 5 years ago. It's a while ago. I don't know if it's better now, but we did that project in that was the other thing. It was like a 10-week or 12-week project. It was really fast.
what's the name of the project?
I don't recall. I'd have to go digging through my files to remember the name of it. Hold on a second if I can actually open up. You're gonna laugh. You guys, I was actually in these old files looking at stuff just the other day because I haven't looked at this stuff in forever. Once I move on, I tend to like forget the names. It's like, what? What was the name of that project?
I was digging through my chat stuff here, and I remember the game designer I worked with on that Anagram Quest game was William Volk.
Oh, I've had him on the show.
You've had him on the show. He was a producer on Return to Zork. He's been around a while. He did an air traffic controller game way back, that he mentioned when there was all the stuff in the news about air traffic controllers. So,
You reminded me of that guy on the Battlestar Galactica remake.
oh, the guy that looks sort of like John McCain.
Yeah, Michael Hogan, I think. Is that his
Yep.
name?
Yeah, I have not seen that show in a while. I think that's the actor's name. I can't remember
Uh,
it was a Captain Ty or something.
Paul, I think. Saul Ty.
Yeah, Ty, right, right. He has the eye patch later on in the show. Anyhow,
No,
well,
that's different. Uh, we also worked on the cast AR stuff too, and that was pretty fun. But that's not the name of the project that I was talking about.
Cast AR.
Uh, that was the company that had a VR technology company that was presenting at GDC, and they had a wand device that you could wave things around, and we were building a game for them. Jennell created a fantastic design where you were a magic user and making things happen.
hmm,
And we got late on a port of Battle Chess, actually, that Becky was doing, and so they dropped both projects. Yay.
Well, that stinks.
Yeah, well, being late on small companies' first stuff is death. You can't do that.
Uh,
Um, I, I apologize. There's so many projects that I'm like paging through here, and I don't want to pull this up for you guys because
sure.
um, some of it's probably
Well,
sensitive to other
right.
people.
Well,
But
no, it just was.
here's something that came to mind looking mad at your graphic here. So the background is Bard's Tales 3, The
mm-hmm,
Thief of Fate. And
mm-hmm.
can you explain why that's significant? Because that was one of Becky's earlier games, wasn't it? For
Yeah, I
Interplay.
think that's what when she introduces herself, she usually says this is what people would probably recognize, the most famous. I guess she was the lead designer on this program.
Yeah, she was the
Pretty much
engineer that
the
took over
person.
Bard's Tale at that point, and she did all of it for that particular SKU of Bard's Tale. She was the person.
A lot of people
Um,
consider this to be the best one of the series too.
that's what I'm told too. That is the Bard's Tale that I remember. Um, my husband John Manley worked for Electronic Arts. Of course, I think I saw all the Bard's Tales go by. But that was the one that made, I think, the most noise in the industry because it was really fast. There was a lot of graphics to it. They had a really good music, um, and the gameplay was big. It was grand. There was a lot of space to it. There were a lot of places that you went. And of course, we did an updated version of it. Well, a version that would run on modern PCs. I don't know
Hmm.
how much of it was updated scenarios. I don't think any of it was um, in recent times for uh, Brian's company in Exile.
And with that one, I think it had if I'm thinking of the right version, it had a button where you could toggle between old and new graphics, and it had some ease of use, like an auto map.
Yeah, yeah, it
I'm
had an
just,
auto map on it.
they're just making stuff up, or didn't they do a video with Becky and me playing Dragon Wars at one point?
I think you did. I think you did. I
I
think
think
that
I
she
did.
was talking over it while you were playing it too.
Right. So I didn't just imagine that, right?
That sounds right.
No, I don't think so. I think
Can't
that you
seem to
did do
find the
that
video anywhere.
because I think I remember watching it.
And
I've watched a bunch of your videos, Matt, with different various people that I haven't managed to meet in person because I didn't get out to the uh, to E3 that much. In later years, my son has severe autism, and as he hit later years, it was harder for me to get overnight babysitting to get away and go down to shows. So I managed to hit G3 during the Game Developers Conference during the day, but to get out of town was harder. So I wasn't out going to E3 and whatnot. And so I haven't met everybody in the industry physically. I've met a lot of people virtually, though.
Yeah, most of these people I've interviewed, I've never met in person.
I'm
Very
still,
few. I don't even think I ever met Becky in person.
Oh, wow.
wow, I didn't know that. I thought you met her in person.
Almost a few times. I mean,
I,
but
I was at the same convention she was at, but I didn't know her at the time. I knew of her, but I didn't.
Wow.
Otherwise, I would have walked over and said hello. But um, I, when I've worked game development full time, it was only once so far at this place called Gala Games. It was a cryptocurrency company, but we did
Huh.
projects. I was sort of like marketing and technical writing, and I did projects with Will Wright and with Peter Molyneux.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've tried to get him on the show, and I haven't heard anything. And they wouldn't remember who I was, but if we can get him, I'd love to have him on. But it's just to sit back and watch Will Wright talk is really something you can do if you have the experience. I've never met someone that smart. I don't think I'll ever meet someone that smart ever again.
Yep. There's a whole bunch of people that came through Electronic Arts that would keep you mesmerized when they would sit and talk. They were absolutely brilliant, um, and pioneers in what they were doing. I'm fortunate to still remain friends with a whole bunch of people that did products for Electronic Arts. Um, I talked
yeah, I
to,
saw just saw something from Trip Hawkins about Becky too, by the way.
oh yeah, he
Oh,
posted
wow.
about her. I took Becky to one of the EA reunion parties, which was really fun. I took Becky as my date.
But so where was the party at? Was it a good venue or just in the
Um,
office?
it was not, this one was not hosted at the office. It was hosted at a space that they rented and then they had catering in. Um, I've been to other ones that were hosted at the office in the past. Um, but a lot of people were there. And so of course Becky got to go mingle um and go refresh a bunch of relationships and also just go introduce herself to a whole bunch of internal EA people that or that had been at EA when I was there, which was really fun for her. Because it's like, surprise, I'm Rebecca Heineman. I made Bard's Tale, you know? And they were like,
Uh,
oh, that's so freaking cool. Because they all remember Bard's Tale. And of course, they all remember us trying to make Bard's Tale 4, which was a meteoric, you know, price tag with no finish in sight. Because we were trying to meld three game engines together and nobody knew how to do it at the time.
so, oh, that's great. That's her site. Yeah. Oh, that's right. She did a lot of the artwork with the Ramna one half.
Ranko.
Right, and the fan fiction and the yeah, no, I mean that is super multi-talented, and I love her playfulness. One of the times we had her on the show, you were talking about interplay games. I mentioned Clay Fighter, and she just breaks out into song with the Clay Fighter theme song on the title screen.
She was really playful that way. Whenever she would call me, she would go, Susan, from that. I can't remember the movie, the character that was supposed to be the most scary because she was the monster. And her name was Susan.
I
Now it's a shame these sites seem to be broken down or something. I can't navigate around too well, but uh, hopefully somebody's going to be preserving that, archiving all the Becky
I would,
Burger stuff, like
so I mean
I
she
would hope
her
so.
blogs and stuff.
I would think so, right? And I mean that as we mentioned, Becky had such a extraordinary career. Do you know if she ever was approached or was considered to write a memoir?
That I do not know. She never mentioned it to me. I know that I told her that I was writing a book about my life. that includes my career, but also a lot of other things that I've done. And she just said, "Oh, that's cool." But she never said, "Oh, I should write a book," to me, which, I had told her and Jennell in the past that they both of them needed to write books. And of course, it never happened because they were so busy living their lives.
Hmm.
I think Becky's illness took her totally by surprise. I mean, she'd been popping out to various venues on a regular basis, going out and doing her thing, right? That's where she got her joy in life, was going out and being at those cons and interacting with people and interacting with the fans. That's what energized her. Um, because I mean, she'd done so much work, but she did it because she loved it, and then she wanted to talk to people about it. She wanted to share what she knew, and she wanted to talk about what she'd done and get other people's input, and also, quite frankly, make relationships for the next thing.
Sure. Did you ever get to share a cheeseburger with her?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, we went out to a lot of different really good burger places. She knew all the good ones.
Right.
When I was up at the game developers conference, we would sneak out to their local burger places to get lunch because it was better than the food that was on site. Um, so definitely, and she knew where all the good places were. It was hilarious, and
So
she knew
when
what the
when
best stuff was on the menu too.
well, I mean, that's what I was thinking next. With when Burger Becky went to go get a burger, did she get the craziest special on the menu, or did she have sort of I'm always going to get the bacon cheeseburger, or she just wanted to try a little bit of everything?
It depended on what was going on, what her mood was. She was a little bit more sedate when we were going to have to be walking around a lot and inside of a venue. So she would tone it down and yeah, and just get the regular burger, whatever, with some. uh, And actually, she didn't always go for cheese. Um,
Yeah, I don't think it was a
but
cheeseburger stuff.
they both were like thrilled to hear about the the burgers that they have up here at the casino. We were talking about that because they were intending to come visit here, Janelle and she.
Oh,
When I first moved up here, we talked about that. Um, and I was mentioning that my son and I had burgers at the casino one night, um, and they were amazing, right? And they had, the tomato, or excuse me, the onion jam and the bacon and the this and the that on there. And Janelle was like, "Oh, that sounds like my kind of burger."
Mm.
But yeah, Becky would go back and forth. Becky was also the person that introduced me to Margita Pizza. Um, but Becky and Janelle were huge sushi eaters. So frequently when we would go out to eat, it was sushi.
sushi burgers.
No, not
Is that
sushi
a
burgers,
thing?
but just sushi.
Is there
Just
such a
sushi.
thing as a hamburger with sushis on it? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah, it sounded like she told me. I asked her about that. Of course, I'm sure everybody does. And she was like, well, you'd be so busy with programming that she'd just go to I think it was an In-N-Out burger or something like that, and just get a bit like a sack of 6 or 7 burgers and just shove them in her desk and just eat them throughout whenever she got hungry, she just nibble on
Mm.
one. But the joke was that they were getting old and moldy,
Yeah.
and it was cheap. I don't know, but
Well, and you
sounds like
don't
that's
dare
fun.
use the group fridge because then your burgers disappear, right? Old
Well, that's true of
bilge
any
stuff.
office. Sure. Jeez.
Even if you mark it,
Uh-huh.
people steal stuff. It's terrible.
Sometimes, especially if you mark it, I was in an office, someone brought in, or they were eating some pizza and they brought in the box, and then someone stole the pizza but left the crust in the box
Oh God.
Get a
in the
just right
fridge.
sushi burger on it, and then it might survive.
Oh my
Maybe.
God.
Oh my goodness. It's thinking of some of the games that Becky worked on, we mentioned Bard's Tale 3. I really enjoyed like Bard's Tale Construction Set because you didn't have a whole lot of game making
Hmm.
games, or I guess I don't know if you'd call it a game, like an app or whatever, at that time. And I bought it when a store shouldn't have been selling it. Like it was the age of it was really old. It might have been in a 5 1/4 floppy or something, and I had a computer with the CD by that time. But I was able to get that game and try it out. And I mean, it was.
I
just
didn't
like,
even know that they made that.
yeah, I mean, it has its own, I think it was the same as the in-house tools. They might have tweaked it a bit, but on BBS's, people uploaded their adventures you could download in the module. It came with a module you could play with, and the manual was kind of scant for what it was. But do you want to pull up the box art for that, Matt? That has, yeah, I love that
Could you
box
put
art.
in your own art, or was it just
You
art
you
that
could
they selected?
you could import art as long as it was the right file format. Um,
Wow.
but I love that cover art. I'd get a might buy that to get that framed or something. But if you click on like creating or some of it's
It
kind
looks
of
like it's fun. I mean, I can.
yeah, it's
Well, and
you know
everybody wanted to make their own game at that point, right?
right. And then Bard's Tale is a game is a name people knew because that first game especially was ported on just about everything. Like Nintendo
Yeah.
had a version.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder what's the best game somebody made with this.
I don't know, but and online you can find some of the files that people have made. I'm sure there's
I know people really went crazy
something.
with the Neverwinter Nights, the construction
Yeah.
kit for that.
Well, and the file sharing for all that stuff was really primitive in those days too. I mean, now we would be able to see all of those variations and probably even have a contest, and the top 10 would probably be widely circulated, maybe even commercialized, right?
Right, sure. Oh man, I mean, yeah, I mean, we talked about Doom earlier. He had all those unauthorized discs where they just
Quads.
downloaded watts on a CD.
Oh my God. And people like would make their own high schools and do all sorts of really
Yes,
wild stuff with it. It was awesome. I saw some of that stuff.
right. It's there's I in my book I talk a little bit about some of the WADs. I mean, frankly, Doom WAD should be its own book, really, but someone made
Hmm.
one recently with the Doom engine where it looks like an art museum. And
Oh,
instead of a
wow.
gun, you're holding a glass of wine and you're just going to the different. It's so absurdist and it has Mozart music in the background. But you can collect little items to get money, and then at the end, you kind of get a high score. Like, who would ever think the Doom engine could be used for that? And yet, it's educational if you examine that. There it is. Yeah. Oh, it's so
That's
absurdist.
awesome.
Doom,
That's
the
a really
gallery.
great idea.
Yeah, I just learned, and I was doing research for the book. I would have all this Doom stuff show up on Twitter, but this one, and I went to art school, so like we had to take a lot of art history classes, so it kind of brings me back. Yeah, there's like a Greek wing, a Japanese wing. It's
Yes.
it's like so stupid but so smart at the same time. See, the Doom guy has glasses at the bottom
Yeah, I was
there
looking at that. He's
as,
like
as
doing his
he's looking
eyebrows.
around.
If it was only higher res, right?
Right, right,
If it
yeah.
was if a high res version of that would rock.
You'd have that. You could have that in a museum as a
Yeah.
legitimate, edutainment thing, right? And
Sure, sure you
I
could.
mean, yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah,
Uh,
move over, Mona Lisa. We'll get that.
Well,
sure,
I don't know if they it's so funny, but I don't know if they would like the wine thing so much in this country. People are so anti-alcohol, but um I love it. I think that's really
maybe.
cool.
Is it
Yeah.
possible to go to like a gallery or art exhibit without a glass of wine? Do people do that?
You
Well,
well, not
Is that
during normal
possible?
hours, but they. Um,
What do you do with your hands?
and that's the thing. For the subset of people that actually do those things, a glass of wine is appropriate. It's just that there's
Yeah.
so many people that are anti-alcohol and they don't want it in quote unquote games, right? Because games
mm,
are for kids. And it's like, well, but we make games for adults too, right? And
yeah,
that in particular, it is art history. It could be for any age, quite frankly. But yeah, higher res so you could actually see the art really well, that would be fantastic.
sure. And with the newest re-release of Doom 1 and 2 you can play it at 4K and it looks good. They've done whatever up-rendering stuff with the graphics and a filter to smooth it over, and it can play old WAD. So, I don't know
Well,
how you'd make a WAD use, the 4K assets or something to make it.
there wouldn't be any licensing issues with that, right? Because these are just old paintings. You could
Uh,
have it as high res as you
right.
want it to be, right?
Gotta
For the
have good
most part,
images.
good
Yeah.
source images, but yeah, then maybe downscaling.
Well, that's true. You wouldn't want
There,
to use a copyrighted like photograph somebody took of the painting. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, but like the painting itself is fine, and as long as they're, I mean, depends what country we're talking about, but as long as they're born before 1920 something, like it should be fair game. Like you could have even pictures of what Popeye the Sailor Man in the original incarnation,
I
right? Like
remember hearing
that's,
about some game where there was a big controversy because they had used an actual church, like a cathedral or something, for one of the levels, and
oh, really?
yeah,
Huh.
people thought that was really sacrilegious or disrespectful. Like, you don't remember what you haven't heard about this?
Maybe it's been a while. I did hear there is a story of when they were doing the Assassin's Creed game in France, in Paris, they all took high-res photos of the Notre Dame. And when part of the Notre Dame burned down, they used the photos and research in the 3D models from the Assassin's Creed game to help restore the actual building.
Yeah, this
That's
was
pretty
the
cool.
Resistance
Yeah.
Fall of Man in a
Oh,
Manchester Cathedral.
2006, Sony. Okay. They were not
Well,
fond of images from the church in the game.
Yeah, they said
that's
it was desecration and well, I don't see how this could be copyright infringement. It's an old building.
yeah, people get really weird. People get really weird. I'm plugging in my heater, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing off
Yeah,
camera.
sure.
Well, we want to make sure we talk about your music a little bit before we run out of time here.
Yay!
Right. So you had mentioned you've been doing all sorts of music over the years.
Um,
Some with instruments, some with AI, some with somewhere in between.
yes. I started out way, way, way long ago. I used to play trumpet and drums, and then later I taught myself guitar. And I wrote some songs with my younger brother way, way, way back in the day. My younger brother's a professional musician, by the way. His name's John Halbleib, if anybody's curious. And he actually did some game music way back in the day. He did the music for, I think it was Secret of the Silver Blades.
Oh,
Um,
that's a good one too.
yeah, and I think he did Champions of Kryn too. He did two songs. I can't remember which particular games they were for, but if you go look him up, he's on the SSI stuff. Um, but anyhow, more recently, I've been writing poetry since the 80s too. And when I was recovering, I had here I'm announcing it here on Matt Chat. In 2023, I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. And at the time, they didn't know how serious it was. They just knew it was fast growing. So I was literally given 10 days to get my life in order, and then I was going into chemotherapy. So I had to put my autistic son into care and, get my life in order. And um, rush my, everything around in my house and whatnot because I was going to be sicker than heck. And for 6 weeks, I underwent a really nasty round of chemotherapy where they loaded me up with four different chemo drugs every single time. One of them was a immune system stimulant, anyhow, and I lost my whole hair and all sorts of stuff. And eventually, my chemo port actually got infected right after I finished chemotherapy, and I ended up hospitalized for 4 days. Very, very sick. Um, Anyhow, and then I had a lumpectomy, and then I had 20 days of radiation. Yay! But I am cancer free. I survived it all. I stayed very well hydrated. By the way, if you have cancer, um, coconut water is your friend. As I try to get Becky to drink coconut water, she's like, "Oh, it tastes terrible." I'm all, I know it does, but it perfectly restores your
Hmm.
moisture because it's got the right amount of potassium and magnesium. Anyhow,
I like the
back to
Vita
AI.
Coco.
Back to AI music. I had become engaged to a man that I had known for 35 years. And we were engaged for 5 months right before I developed cancer. And while I was undergoing chemotherapy, he passed away in his sleep. He was 64 years old. His name was Alan Harris. And I had written music to him. I had written him a song called Riptide, and I had recorded it, me singing it. Anyhow, after I finished uh, radiation therapy, I stumbled upon a website called suno.com, which is an AI music creation site. And I had been playing around with other various music sites, but Suno allows you to put in your own lyrics and then set up the genres and prompting for various things throughout the lyric and create your own music. Anyhow, I started playing with that with my lyrics, and I am now a published artist called Artemis the Poet. All of my music is up on Spotify. I had some sort of a problem and some of my music got taken off of Apple and whatnot, but it's now starting to repopulate back up on Apple and Amazon, and it's up on YouTube on my own private channel and up on Topic, the auto-generated channel. But you can find me as Artemis the Poet all over. I also have a Facebook page and Instagram, and yeah, that's Cindy Lou Who. That's one of my most recent productions.
Dude,
That's about my dog. She is also my service dog, and she does literally go with me everywhere. She's actually asleep behind me right now. Um, and I write in all different genres, whatever takes my mood. I make silly stuff. I make uh, very serious stuff. I wrote a song about PTSD, as Matt with one T knows. We
Right,
mentioned it
sure.
last night.
Yeah.
It's called Never at Rest, PTSD. I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. That's from my childhood. It's one of the things that Rebecca and I bonded over because she had a very stressful childhood too. Um, I uh, I grew up in a family that was deeply disturbed. My father was extremely violent, and I also was misdiagnosed with a fatal disease when I was a child. So I grew up thinking I was going to die by the age of 20. It was not a fun time. So that's why I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't have a fatal disease. I was misdiagnosed. And yes, uh, that is one of my playlists up on Spotify.
So
so you
when
got
you're
almost 4 hours of music on here.
That's
Yep.
fantastic. Look at that. So when you're submitting music to these different services, do they have a part where you check a box to say if it's AI or not? Because with books on Kindle and things, they do or have sort of different definitions for it.
They don't say, is this AI? They ask me who created what in it.
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
say that I am the programmer, which is technically true.
Right.
I have a lot of input in this. It's not just AI created. Like I said, I write all the lyrics.
Sure.
I also set in all of the prompts. I do sometimes have AI do what I call smoothing, which is I write out the general genre box and I have the AI build it out, which means helping me figure out better instrumentation, or helping me figure out what instruments I want to bring in each verse and the chorus. But that's the only times that I use AI, really, beyond the actual AI generation of the music. And
Yeah. And
by the way, it's not just, you set it and you do it once. When you generate AI music, you sit there for hours and go through multiple
sure.
versions before you find something that's any good. It takes a long time. And then sometimes you're editing that even because parts of it are not working. It mispronounces something. It You have a burp in the middle of the song that you need to get rid of. There's all sorts of stuff. It's not a one
Art?
and done.
Oh, geez. Yeah, they seem like, I guess there's some, I've been running into a few people that are, I don't know what you call them. I don't want to say anti-AI, but kind of uh, snobby there's a better word for what I'm trying to articulate here,
They
but
they somehow think that we stole their lunch.
right. Uh, but a lot of those technologies have been around forever. You're like,
Yes,
Well,
and it's just
well,
not called AI. Like think of
yeah.
Clippy in Microsoft Word.
what do you think that people are doing when they're using a DAW and they're using electronic instruments? Hello.
Unlike
You
the
know?
auto, is it called auto tuning where it like matches up your fixes like your problems with your pitch and things of that
Yes,
sort? I
the
mean,
vocals
Right,
or things like Fruity Loops, where it's generating beats, or I don't know
yeah,
if they use that anymore, but whatever.
right. Drum machines,
Sure.
the
drum
whole thing.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all electronic too. It's just various forms of it. With something like Suno, it's more Suno AI does it behind the scenes, and you don't have as much control individually. However, if you're prompting like I'm prompting, and if you saw my prompts list, you'd be going, "Oh, holy shit," because it's literally, programmed. I tell it what to do. Um,
Well, that's the thing with this. There's people that are going to be really experts at using it and produce really great music. And it's not true that just anybody could come here and type in some prompt to, get something worth listening to.
Right. You can go
Uh,
and you can make decent music if you've got decent lyrics or whatever, and it's pretty well thought out, but it, it's not necessarily going to be something that you architected. That's Suno doing its thing. However, there are other people that are really directing it to do what they want it to do, and then, that's what I'm doing. Um,
and there's been some AI songs recently that have
top,
charted on the radio. Yeah, top songs. I
yeah,
think
Oh,
one
yeah.
was in gospel, one was country.
yeah,
Joe
Um,
Rust.
Rogan's always talking
Rust,
about
that's
it's
right.
like, what's that one he's always talking about?
And
It's
with
yeah, 50 Cent's Mini Men. There's like a 60s
oh
soul
sure,
remix of that, and it's
yeah, you had pretty ahead of her time really, but you had gee, one of Elon Musk's ex-wives, which that doesn't really narrow it down, or is it
they have a lot of ex-wives.
Grums, something, someone, a lot of mothers to his children. Anyhow, one of them created a license pretty early on saying that AI can use my music if they want to, with her getting a cut, where it's like you can use AI to do. I mean, at the end of the day, I think of something that I heard Will Wright said, and he was talking about like the blockchain, but you can apply it to AI, and he was saying the blockchain is just a tool. It's not evil in and of itself. It's
Uh,
you
Right,
can
that's
use
one
right.
thing. I
what?
remember Becky
Uh,
one time. She was so upset
although
about the NFTs that she called me. She's like, "I got to tell you about NFTs, and like you should stay well away from that."
I did hear I read some outrageous thing that said that something like 50,000 songs were being uploaded all of the time. However, that doesn't mean people are listening to them all. People listen to what they like to listen to, or what they're curious about, what um sometimes,
Sure,
certainly the AI directs you to things that are similar to the things that you were just listening to already. We get recommended lists. That happens on Netflix, that happens on Spotify, it happens on all of the
sure,
different playlists. We're AI assisted in every other way. Why is it that it's a big problem that somebody is AI assisted making music? And I actually had a big argument with some young music maker that had autism, um, because they were absolutely incensed and thought I was a horrible human being for making AI music. And I said, well, look, I'm 63 years old and I just went through cancer. There's no way that I'm going to get a band together and record them to make my music.
sure.
It's just not going to happen. And they said, well, then you shouldn't be making music. And I said,
Oh,
no, no, why not? Why not entertain myself and my friends and anybody else that wants to join in and be my fan? Makes no sense. You know,
Right.
that,
And there's something nice with these different tools, even if you're just talking about like Photoshop or Wacom tablets or whatever medium you're working in, that art can be pretty gatekeepy, as
right?
you just mentioned, right? Where they're saying, "Oh,
very.
you don't have
I,
a
I
doctorate
had
in
that
art
when
in
I was
his, yeah,
first making computer game art. People were saying, well, that's not real art. You're not really doing anything. The computer does it. And I said,
ah,
absolutely. I lay down every pixel. In those
wow,
days, I was
yeah."
drawing things with a pad. Hello, that
Did
is
they
doing art.
So did they have you use D Paint or what was the Pro or Deluxe
At
Paint?
the
What was the
time, we were
thing?
using
Yeah.
a koala pad. I
Oh,
was using the koala pad to
okay.
create the 11 by 11 character art for the
Uh-huh.
C64.
It's kind of like with the cameras too, right? When they went from the old school cameras to the digital cameras, and the
Yeah,
Yes.
school
Right.
people
yeah,
were like, "That's not real photography," and they wouldn't let
yeah.
them enter their contests. And
Yep.
Same with the computer special effects in movies, where it's like they think with Jurassic Park, some people think with Jurassic Park, you click a few buttons and the dinosaurs do everything. And it's like, it's not that simple. It's a different
It,
skill. It's a different
it's
skill set.
get
it's a
people just
way
love
different skill set, and yet it makes the movie. And nowadays, you see so much AI and so much computer driven animation in regular television. All the commercials are AI assisted. Most of the television, has special effects in some place, in during the production, and you don't even notice it most of the time anymore. Well, hell, all of the sports announcing now has AI driven stuff. The goal line is enhanced. The they mark the various players on the field so that it's easier for people to distinguish who's who. They do all sorts of stuff.
Sure. And I think to kind of bring things around as we wrap things up here, because I gotta get going, unfortunately. You had mentioned Trip Hawkins. They're doing a movie about John Madden
Oh,
where
wow.
Nicolas Cage plays John Madden in prosthetics, and the prosthetics are pretty convincing, but Trip Hawkins is played by John Mulaney, the comedian.
Oh,
So how much the movie will go into his video game years, I'm not really sure, but I'll be really curious to see how that turns out because
I'm gonna have to go look at a picture of John Mulaney. I'm not familiar with who that is.
he was a writer on SNL. He's done some stand up. He has a talk show on Netflix, but he's a real talented guy.
there's the
Real,
guy.
real character.
Yep, there
Oh,
he is. Yeah.
that actually, you know what? He's a good match. He's a good match for Trip.
Can you look
That
up
this will
Matt?
be
Can you look up
interesting.
Nicolas Cage, John Madden? Because this is pretty wild. And pull that up because it's when I heard Nicolas Cage, I thought that's crazy. But then the picture and that actor's so committed, I'm like, if anyone can pull off,
John Madden was a force of nature. He was amazing.
yes,
Wow, look at those pants.
yes, the pants, the
Yep.
collared shirt. He had
You know,
Madden had quite a.
John Candy would have been a good.
Oh, that would have been
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, Madden
Yeah.
had quite the temper.
Yeah, he did. Well, he was trying to convey a lifetime of information in a short amount of time, and
Yep.
other people didn't understand him like right away. And if you were not listening, he knew it and he would get gruff.
So
Well, he pioneered some kind of like technology, right, for the marking plays and things and marking on the screen.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
remember what it's called, but
Well,
it was.
the games flourished because of him. And actually, I think that television started to mimic what was going on in the computer games because it was
right.
so much more interesting statistically to watch the game. And once all of these things were talked about, were made more visual.
Yeah, Amazon Prime has like a four-part miniseries on documentary about the Madden franchise as a whole, and
I
Well, I
watched
think
it.
that
yeah,
John Madden
it
himself
it's
was more involved in that game than you would have thought.
He was
hmm
very much more involved, and
It
his
wasn't just
sons
a
were
face. It wasn't just
involved
like a.
some too.
Yeah, it wasn't just a case of licensing the name and then it has nothing to do with the game. It was.
No, he wanted everything to do with the game, which was awesome. He made it much better.
right, and it says in that
Like,
documentary, like modern day, like football players that grew up playing Madden would go to EA and complain that my character in the game doesn't have the right stats.
well, I heard it was Madden. Guys, I'm just thinking of this from memory, but there was the original game didn't have the right number of players because it was like too much computing power to have the full team, and it was like kind of a stripped down version of it. And
Right,
Madden himself was like, no, not gonna cut it. You're gonna have to do the full. You have to
Right.
figure out a way to do this.
right.
I mean, what a genius decision though, because if they hadn't done it
hmm
that way, it probably would have been another. I guess it would have been probably somewhat successful, but not anything like the franchise it became.
They invented some technology to do it. And
Sure,
actually, it made the whole sports genre in general much better once the
sure.
technology came along. They also invented the ability to project numbers on the players' jerseys. They used a digital clock-like thing to make the numbers on screen fast. Because hand drawing all those numbers and in various angles was a big pain in the butt. And once they actually invented that when we were trying to do John Madden coin op, which we never managed to get polished enough to publish. But the technology for doing the projecting the numbers came about during John Madden coin op, and then got used in all the future John Maddens. And actually, that spurred hockey and football both to get after us to license the statistical information, because at that time we were just calling all of the players out by number, which everybody knew the players' numbers. We knew who Jerry Rice was on the field, right? And so EA was putting up their own stats on all of the players and not licensing them at the time. And the organizations got after and said, nope, if you're going to put up the player numbers, then you have to license the stats, period, because we own that.
But with sports games and especially with the football games, it absolutely makes sense to have that NFL license. Well, it's not cheap. It makes a difference if you're playing the oh now I'm terrible with football, but like the Dallas Cowboys or something, as opposed to the Dallas barbecue rib champions or whatever
The problem with
knockoff is.
like the Dreamcast didn't have that, right? And that was the huge problem for them.
Oh, was that the Sega one that didn't have the? You had a
Yeah,
few of
it's like
those franchises, something 2000, like Sports 2000,
they
or
had to like basically create their own sort of generic thing, right? For because they
uh,
couldn't get Madden, some
Right.
kind of
right.
fallout, and
All right.
basically killed the console.
Well,
Great.
and
Well,
the thing about licensing though is how much of the license do you have? Do you just have the license to be able to use the NFL name? Can you use the actual stadiums? Can you use the actual players? Can you use their names? Can you use their stats? And that was the issue. Each one of those incremental things adds to the dollar that you're licensing, and sometimes it adds to which parts of the organization, because I'm not sure who owns the stats, if it's actually the NFL or if it's some other thing.
oh,
I'm
wild.
not the
Yeah.
license expert on that stuff.
I did a little bit of work on a project relating to The Walking Dead, and we had the license for the TV show, but it was not the license for the comics. And in one of them, if a crow was possessed by the zombie virus, it had red eyes, and the other one it was white eyes. It gets so
Yeah,
granular and sometimes restrictive with
I've heard a
licenses.
lot of that with Lord of the
Yep.
Rings stuff because you can.
Yep.
There's so many
Yes.
like parts of it you can license. You're licensing the movie, the book, the this, the that.
Well, yeah, you had real market confusion at the in the when the Peter Jackson movies came out, where I think it was Sierra actually had the license of the Tolkien books. So you had a Fellowship of the Ring game that was not based on the movie, but the one that was based on the movie was the Two Towers. And a lot of people bought the my dad bought me the wrong game. He bought me the bad one, the Fellowship of the Ring. I know some people
Oh
that worked
no.
on that game, but like that one was a real stinker, in my opinion. And the EA Two Towers one was more like an action game with RPG elements that the graphics where it could cut from the video footage to the gameplay was real extraordinary at the time. It was a real system seller. So, but we don't have anyway, that movie video games is a whole separate topic. But I just want to oh, go ahead.
It's so funny that it is all linked to how realistic is it for you if you happen to be an expert in the genre, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if you're absolutely steeped in the football statistics, you want the absolutely steeped game. You want the full experience. You want it to
Right.
be like it is when you're playing uh, your paper games. Um,
The football simulator mode, or they even have the standalone games that it's all, spreadsheets basically, as you're making things go through. Well, Double T, is there anything you want to use to wrap this up? We've spoken about so
Oh,
much
it's just I
here.
was there. I just was hearing some discussion this morning about I was trying to remember the name of it, but there was some type of amnesia, quote unquote, where when you see like the news reporting on something that you're an expert in, you realize that it's totally wrong. Like they sort of butchered it, you know. So then you start wondering, well, I wonder, it can't be just this one thing that they uh, are inaccurate about. So how do I know that everything else they're reporting on isn't equally, you know, incorrect?
I think I mean, it's a huge topic, but I think with the news, it's good to vary the
I mean,
sources
take the
that you
news
get
out
the
of it.
news.
It could just
Okay, okay.
be
Take
like
the news
movie.
out of it.
Like every time I watch
Yeah.
a movie where there's like like a video game theme, and
Oh, right.
inevitably they're making sounds like it's a 1980s arcade, even
Yeah.
though it's like
There's
a modern game.
what was the one I watched as a kid? The Jackie Chan Rumble in the Bronx movie. There's a character with the Game Gear, but the sound effects aren't Game Gear sound effects, and there's no game in the back of the Game Gear. So they're just playing an empty unit. Now, they didn't have a video game guy on set, nor did they really care about that as much back then. But we've come a long way between that and like the Mario Brothers cartoon movie making over $1 billion, like the Sonic
Commodore
stuff.
Atari console.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well,
That's
this
what
is
we're.
and
I
any
don't know.
la
Maybe how do we kind of wrap this up?
I know what it is, you guys, is that the gamers
yeah.
have infected every aspect of the other movie making and television
Yes.
making and
Mm.
writing.
Mm-hmm.
They're real gamers now that are writing all this stuff and making all this stuff.
That's 1,000% right, Susan. 1,000%. Yeah, but how do we wrap this up with I'll just, I guess one we can each do one last story for this episode about Becky, I suppose. I,
Story
I
for about Becky.
yeah,
Well, I can go. I got a copy of Dragon Wars,
nice.
and
There
I
you
sent
go.
this to Becky to see if she could
Oh,
sign it.
yeah,
Right? And then she's like, "Yeah, I can do that." But not only did she sign it.
yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you this.
Is there a burger in the box? No. Is it?
I don't know how well this will show up, but there's a.
Oh, that's great. It's a drawing. Oh, Jennell drew a dragon on there. She has a little
That's awesome.
burger, Becky Heineman. That's a real
Yeah, this is like
keeper.
one of my most treasured possessions here.
Oh, that
Matt,
is
that's worth bucks.
yes.
Well,
Save
it's
that.
not. I'm not
You
gonna sell it, so.
No, of course not, but you might want to frame it. That's
That's real
pretty darn
special.
cool.
I
Awesome.
don't know what's the best way to preserve something like this. I guess I can put it in a plastic bag, maybe, but
Maybe. Well,
I
I
don't know.
have something. I guess yeah. The story that I'll share is I was working on a book on Star Trek video games, and I almost interviewed Becky about the unreleased Secret of Vulcan Fury game that DC Fontana had developed a scenario for. It would have been the follow-up to Star Trek Judgment Rights. The graphics in the E3 demo looked incredible, but they also, I mean, the game would have cost like $300 billion or something. Like the graphics, just you couldn't really do them that way for the whole game, and it was when Interplay was not doing well towards the end. And Becky actually got to read the design document, and it wasn't an entire script, but it was an outline of the plot. And the DC Fontana who worked on that was a writer on the original Star Trek show, the original animated series. And in DC Fontana is no longer with us, unfortunately. But in her lifetime, she was trying to get the rights to the story she came up with the game to do as a novel because she did some Trek novels as well, and she was never able to get it. But it's just there's so much of this. That's one of those infamous games that was never released, and that I got to talk to Becky briefly about it. That she got to see that is pretty cool. I have not been able to locate the document yet, but um,
Hmm.
no one seems to know where it is. I contacted the Fontana
What
estate.
what's the name of the game again?
The Secret of Vulcan Fury.
The Secret of Vulcan Fury.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna write that down. and
Okay.
see if I can reach out with all of my various friends and see if I can.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was mentioning it to when I was in Vegas talking about Star Trek video games on a panel at the Star Trek to Las Vegas convention. I met with one of the designers of the Star Trek oh, what is it? One of the more recent Star Trek games that came out. And we were, I mean, I think it's pretty unlikely to happen, but wouldn't that be cool if you could somehow license the design for that game and do kind of a modern version of it somehow?
Yeah, I brought this up briefly just
Yes,
to because
great.
how long, about 7 months ago, I guess, according to this, Becky was saying she had all these people
Source
thought all
code.
the source code for a lot of, not just Fallouts, but a lot of other games were
Uh-huh.
lost. She's like, no, I actually have all this.
Oh, awesome.
So
Yeah, no,
apparently there's many that haven't even been mentioned, that I hope that, like I said, I'm really kind of worried. I hope that this is all being preserved. Hard
agreed.
to.
And yeah, we had Frank Cifaldi on here from the video game like history like preservation thing. Like he does a lot of that kind of archiving stuff.
Have you guys had Maurice Moliano on here yet?
Reese.
Don't think so.
You
What's the
need to
last?
have him on here.
What's the last name?
Molyneux,
Oh, like the Molyneux, like Peter Molyneux, or Maurice
similar.
Molyneux,
Yeah,
computer animator.
I'm gonna introduce you guys. I think I have in the past, Matt, and I guess you were just busy. Um, Maurice has got an amazing long career. He's a designer in the industry, and you should definitely know him, and you should definitely interview him because he's done some amazing
That's
stuff.
pretty
But
cool.
he's done a bunch of Star Trek stuff too, and might
Oh,
know.
awesome.
Let's
Thanks.
set it up.
Thanks so much. And I
And
guess
you guys
Susan,
definitely have to have him on.
yep. So Susan, do you have a sort of final Becky memory you can share as we wrap
Final
this
Becky
episode up?
memory.
Not final, but just one that
One that
makes you laugh or
Um, well, one of the last times that I actually talked to Becky was actually I was talking to Becky with Jennell when Jennell was trying to convalesce. Um,
hmm,
then every other conversation that I've had with her recently has been an email, believe it or not. But I had Becky and Jennell on the phone, and Jennell wasn't talking at that point. She was still battling with Barr, but I was calling to kind of brighten their day, and we were just being silly back and forth. And it was a wonderful phone call. And I had wanted to go and travel down there, but I was still recovering from having my lumpectomy and I was really sick. So there was no way I could get on an airplane. Um, but she was just so much fun. And she was so delighted because Jennell was home and they were so happy. And that was the last time that I got to speak to both of them together. And then, like a week later, Jennell ended up back in the hospital and in the ICU herself. And then she passed away. Um, and her actual problem was that they inserted her catheter wrong. And, she died from complications from Guillain-Barré. But that's one of my most haunting things about Becky was the fact that I haven't actually had a physical or a Skype conversation or a Zoom conversation with her since. Everything else has been through email since. Um, and that makes me sad. I really thought she was going to beat cancer. I was really because she just had been so energetic up until that point, and then it became clear that she was not going to, and that was a surprise.
right. Well,
Yeah, we chatted with her back must have been April, right? Was it?
I guess so. Yeah, maybe the
It
last
feels
time
like it
we.
wasn't even that long ago, but
But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go on the YouTube site and I'll make a playlist of the Becky episodes. I think that'd be good for
That's a great idea.
people to see have that out there. But
Yeah,
again,
I don't think I don't even think I've really processed it yet. Really, it's just so subtle.
no, it's so agreed. It's so fresh,
Doesn't
but
even seem real, you know.
yeah,
No, it
but
doesn't seem real. It
mhm,
happened so fast, and like 1 minute
yeah,
she was vivacious and everywhere, and you could talk with her no matter what, blah blah blah.
mhm,
And then, the thing that I was doing last was giving Maureen, her caretaker, and my other former colleague in Old School, recipes for making broth that would help rehydrate Becky because she didn't want to drink coconut water. And I had some other stuff because I had been coached through my chemo. And
mhm.
just, it makes me so sad.
Yeah, I think the last message I sent her and got something back was she had posted about she wanted pictures of kitty cats. And we have some Persian cats. I'll have to share them in the chat here. And I said,
Cats
oh
made her happy.
yeah, I said, do you mind if I DM these to you? And she says, please send me all the cat pictures. So I hope it made her happy a little bit. Um,
And I noticed she was always watching our sort of back room Facebook, group chat.
yes.
And I noticed that like one of the last, it has like her little face,
Oh yeah.
and she looks at stuff, and I'm like, oh man, that must have been like one of the last things she did was look at this,
Could be. I mean,
massive stuff.
in that chat, you could mention a hamburger any time of the day, and she'd immediately pipe in. Like she was like the genie being summoned or something. She's like, yes. It's like the bat signal, the burger signal.
It just shows you how much she cared, because I mean, to have just to even put time into,
Right.
who are we,
Right. But right,
She
well,
you took the time to reply and be part of that, and
oh sure. Well, again, thanks so much, everyone. I wish there was under better circumstances, and we'll be sure to
yeah.
have you on again, Susan. No lack of things to talk about. Well,
Yeah, it's good seeing you, Susan.
yeah, thanks so
Good
much.
seeing you guys too. There's lots of people I should introduce you to, but definitely Maurice is definitely next on the list. You guys need
Great.
to know him. Need to. You'll this number of stories will open up even wider. You'll
Maybe
be
we could do like
amazed.
a four-way chat, and have
Sure. Great.
That could be fun.
Yeah, that could
Maurice.
be
'Cause I
good.
don't know some.
I actually wanted to get Maurice together with Rusty Bucher. That's who you should have a four-way chat with because both
Okay.
of those guys worked on Star Trek
Nice. Sure.
stuff quite a bit from different angles, and the
Yeah.
conversation will be intense.
My favorite
It'll
thing
be
is to
amazing.
get some folks
Actually,
together that are really good talkers, and then I just sort of fade into the background.
well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and those
Right.
those two will be amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, like it'll be cataclysmic, and it'll be Star Trek groupies will tune in from left and right,
Nice.
guaranteed.
Sure. Absolutely.
So,
Well, thanks
All right.
again.
you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Take care, guys.
Hmm?